Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. This will be my final video of the day. This is looking at the kind of gameplay footage. The gameplay has been kind of like, showcased on the socials, but I wanted to talk a bit more context in these characters, especially because if you haven't seen the video when we covered the abilities, at least it gets a visualization in place, just in case anybody's confused about how gentle should be. He is not gentle. He will get to be a giant. He is pretty formidable. And of course, Okoye. You've seen on socials that both characters are pictured here. Gentle, of course, is there sporting his fantastic vibranium tattoos. This was really interesting to go and deep dive into him, because I'm still learning into like how these vibranium tattoos work, especially as they are from like molten vibranium, which was then put into the skin. And of course, lives in perfect harmony with Gentle. It's used to control his powers, so when he gets like really kind of strong, it's meant to be like, it's kind of like Sting in Lord of the Rings. It grows blue when orcs are near. This is not exactly like that. It's like it suppresses the extent of the power being too mighty, because Gentle can go OTT and go, well, boom, effectively. So creating calm around the character is important. You can see this is the winning animation. Gentle is trying to calm himself down after what was a very intensive fight. See him in action there against Silver Surfer. I have read some people getting really kind of funny about his animations. Like, it is meant to be a character similar to, say, Hulk, maybe Absorbing Man, maybe a very aggressive character. It looks like here, by the way, he can actually survive and work like well against Cyclops blasts and Sentinel's blasts as well. And that's a very kind of cool comic book touch to have the character in there. And of course, from an SP3 perspective, he can of course do an extensive amount of like damage as well. I think further interesting because Kabam actually reveals some elements about the character, which if you read carefully, I didn't know that, like, well, I do know because they do drop these hints. So they put on the side of the character, looking for a Bullseye counter, meet Gentle. This is the other thing that Kabam do. If you don't know already, they like to put in characters that are good counters to some of the champions they've got in game further down the line. This is why, you'll probably see this year, quote me on this, a effective Enchantress counter. Now there are some ones in game at the moment that do a good enough job. Captain Faria being a good example. But there will be more that will come into game. I'm sure Okoye might be if she was a strong defensive based champion, and of course down the line you'll probably see something equally as counterable. There's nothing of that nature when it comes to Okoye. It's just a straight up skill. That's really it. Nothing about like who she counters particularly well. But maybe she might counter Killmonger particularly well, and Kabam are actually telling us right here that she can do Killmonger with ease. But other than that, because we don't know much in the way of the characters, what will be damaging debuffs, and effectively I think she does. I did notice some certain things. If you didn't know from looking at the spear does get what seems to be like a little bit of a shock to it, or like a taser. You know when you kind of like see a taser being kind of like shoved in somebody, like it's like that. We'll try and pause that down on screen in a moment, just to kind of like see that in action. You can definitely see from the vibranium tech whenever she does a block that she there we go. So do you just see that she has a little shock appears, a little shock animation. That's one of them. There's the shock, and you can see there on the spear there is a little bit of shock. Maybe she does a bit of shock damage, or it plays part and parcel to the vibranium tech. The vibranium tech can be seen right there. Could we have something similar to, say, Black Panther Civil War that is able to, have that tech of absorption and then hitting back at the enemy with some potency, some burst damage, and some nice damage overall? I hope so, with such a noticeable character. I do think Gentle is going to be part of Prodigal Sons, which is a very important Black Panther synergy, but would it instead be Okoye being that? Only time will tell. I'm pretty excited for both characters, especially from a point of view of expanding the Wakandan line, and even more so if you've got a champion that is a tech in Shuri a mutant in Gentle, and a whole plethora of skill-based champions in Black Panther Civil War, Black Panther in general, and Killmonger. So there's a lot of excitement around what the future could hold, whatever Kabam are cooking up when it comes to what will probably be a future type of event, or something exciting. Yeah, got to be hopeful about that. I was wondering whether or not we'd see Okoye in, and I mentioned briefly in the video about a tech-based or a suit that she could be in, or did I mention it on some other video? Anyway, like this. This is the, I think it's Midnight Angel. We could see this in the future as a different character, but that again would make the character more in line with the tech. I was hoping from an SP3 perspective maybe we'd see something like this, but that's wishful thinking, and the character's fine as is. And of course Kabam have got an idea of how they're going to pitch the character, how you're going to be able to operate with the character, and it's very much in line with this right here, with being, you know, just, you know, Okoye with the vibranium spear. And that's what I'm excited about, what that spear could be. I'd say hold, but she is holding it. Is it going to have some shock damage to it? Is it going to have some absorption and vibranium-based absorption and burst out damage tech? The same way that we've seen it in the past. It gives lots of opportunities for the future. But that's been it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. A little bit of a dissection, and especially going over some of the characters. I'm excited for Gentle. I'd just like to learn a bit more about the abilities for both of them and see where they really fall with what you can use them for, where you can use them best for, and what they counter, because that's going to be exciting. More Bullseye counters are coming into game. Will this be the one that you'll just go, I'm bringing this into my Battlegrounds deck for attack? Any of these defenders-based champions, because to me they look more like attackers than defenders, but only time will tell. Abilities to be shown, and hype to be gathered. We'll find out more tomorrow. That's been it for the video. Appreciate you. Check out some other content located on screen. Have a lovely evening, and I need to go to bed. It is late. Bye.